Alright everyone, thank you for coming. This is a disciplinary meeting for Mike the Knight. Mike, it seems your last client was pretty upset with you. Care to tell us why? Yeah. I wouldn't fight a dragon. Well, Mike, as you know, this is Knights R Us. Our clients depend on our services. I understand that, but dragons are scary. They'll mess you up. Okay, but when we hired you, this reference said that you saved her life, and that you were brave and strong. Oh yeah, that's my mom. She said I saved her from a life of misery because I'm such a cutie pie. Well, lucky for you, we have another client and nobody else can fit them into their schedule. 4 randomly generated dungeons, bad guys, bosses, and a possible twist ending. Are you up for it? Probably not, but let's give it a go. Welcome to Mike's Gaming Gala. I'm Mike, and this week we're looking at Traumatarium for the Nintendo Game Boy, published by Broke Studios. Traumatarium comes in a professionally printed box, with a nice manual, and a cartridge with a travel case. This was a Kickstarter campaign, and as such, it's not available for retail purchase at the time of me recording this video. But for when it is, let's take a look so you can decide if you want to pick it up or not. After the splash screen, we get a title screen prompting us to either start a new game or load a saved one. Pressing start, we're introduced to the story. In a far-off kingdom, there's a famine, and an ancient evil has awoken. You've been summoned by the Queen to vanquish that evil and restore peace to the land. After this, you begin in the town center, and you have access to 4 dungeons: the Faceless Lair, the Woodland Abyss, the Immolator, and the Watery Grave. They all sound like wonderful places to visit. Let's start with the town center though. Pressing A to enter the town, you'll find a few places here that will help you in your adventures through the dungeons. You have the inn, where you can heal and save your game. Then you have the shop, where you'll be able to purchase bandages and potions for healing, as well as food for raising your stamina, and a dungeon map, which allows you to escape a dungeon mid-travels. After that, you have the library, which provides you information about items in the game. And lastly, you have the armory, where you can purchase a variety of weapons to increase your attack strength and your defensive capability. Once you've got some supplies, it's time to enter a dungeon. Let's start with the Faceless Lair. Each of the dungeons operates the same way, where you have to pass through 10 randomly generated rooms to get to a boss battle at the end. The Faceless Lair is a very traditional dungeon with skeletons, chains, and dark rooms lit by torches. Each room is introduced with a beautiful image and short description, followed by actions you can perform, where applicable. Usually, your options are to either search or leave. Searching can find some welcome goods that can help you, such as potions, bandages, food, and even special treasures that increase your stats. But it's also a risk, as you could encounter enemies. Choosing to leave, on the other hand, simply opts to move into the next room of the dungeon. Doing this may also result in an enemy encounter, but these are unavoidable. Combat in Traumatarium is turn-based. You and your foe take turns attacking, and on your turn, you have the option to either fight or use an item such as bandages or potions. Your enemy's health is at the top of the screen, and yours is at the bottom. This isn't your only chance to use items though. When you're in a room, in addition to performing the actions presented to you, you can press the select button to get to your inventory. On this screen, you'll see your vitality at the top, your health below that, and the number of bandages, potions, food, and maps that you have. Pressing A on any of these items will use it. Returning to the rooms, some of the other actions you can take are to choose from 2 separate paths, climb ladders, pray, drink from wells, which could either revitalize or poison you, or investigate interesting things that you come across. Entering the 10th room, you'll encounter the boss of the dungeon. Aside from a nice cinematic prior to the battle, this plays out the same as any other enemy encounter, albeit with a much stronger foe. Defeating the boss, you emerge from the dungeon, wounded but victorious. The kingdom becomes a little nicer, and the queen is pleased. There's something about her face, though. She looks a little evil here. Maybe it's just the eyebrows. I don't know. The other 3 dungeons here all operate in the same way, but have unique environments and monsters. The Woodland Abyss takes you through a dark and forbidding forest with cemeteries, idols, swamps, and cliffs to navigate. The Immolator, much like the Faceless Lair, is a more classic dungeon with caves, torches, and crypts. Then, last but not least, is the Watery Grave, full of coral reefs, grottos, wet corridors, and damp chambers. Defeating this final of the 4 bosses, the Queen is again very pleased, and another dungeon becomes available, the titular Traumatarium. If you feel like you're not up to the challenge yet, you can always return to the previous dungeons to earn more plunder and spend it in the town to upgrade your gear. Dungeons you've already defeated will play the same way as before, with random rooms and events, just without a boss at the end. Back to the Traumatarium though, here you'll have to battle through all 4 bosses again in back-to-back melees, only to finally come to the root of all this evil. I knew it! The eyebrows never lie! Yep, it's the Queen. The Queen then transforms into a vicious monster and you do battle one last time. And should you be victorious, you get this. Seriously, our main man here strikes this pose to celebrate. Anyhow, after the closing cutscene, you're given a rank based on your gameplay. Apparently, despite my buff physique, I'm a peasant. And that's Traumatarium for the Game Boy. So what did I think? I'm really glad I picked it up. The graphics are fantastic and give so much atmosphere in each dungeon. The music is great also and fits well in supporting the imagery and tone. Best of all though is the fact that the dungeons are randomly generated. Each time you enter one, you have an idea of what's coming, but there's always an element of mystery there. One trip you'll come across a well and it'll be fine to drink, and the next trip that well will poison you. There's also decent variety of room types for each dungeon. You certainly won't see all of them in one journey through them. All this is to say that each time you play Traumatarium, it's different from the last time, which gives replayability that games like this normally wouldn't have. I had a lot of fun with this one, and when it comes available at Broke Studio, I'd give it consideration if you like what you see here. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you liked the return of Mike the Knight. As always, I've got my contact information on the screen, and we'll see you next time on Mike's Gaming Gala.